Hi, my name is Kelsey Becker, and my proposal question is, how does the death of a parent impact the child and the family? And I chose this because you never know in today's world what is going to happen, whether you stay alive, whether you die, whether your loved ones die, you just never know. A parent could die from a disease or a sickness of some sort, or they can die in a car accident. And what is the other parent supposed to do? How is the other parent supposed to take care of the children? And how is this going to affect the child or the children? We don't always know. My hypothesis is that the child who is 13 years old, that they may take it harder than that of a 5-year-old. And this is because they are older and understand that the parent is not coming back. They may feel like they cannot talk about it because it is considered uncool. According to their friends, like this is the adolescent age group where they're going through puberty and everything, and a lot of the times they feel like they're being judged by their friends and their peers. And sometimes when something bad happens, like the death of a parent or the death of a grandparent, they feel like they can't talk about it because it's not cool to talk about it. A 5-year-old is still young and they will be taken care of, even though sometimes they might not think so. They will be taken care of. They also may think that an angel or a boogeyman came to take away their loved one, their mommy, their grandma, whoever passed away. That's very important to them. They may have some fears and anxieties, but with the right help, they will overcome those fears and anxieties. And adolescents, they might act out more, try dangerous stunts, or try to act like the parent who died. Because in today's world, we have different sayings and different things, and children pick up on those different sayings. And when you say something to a child, you have to be extra careful, especially if they are in the grieving process, because they might decide to act like that parent or that loved one, depending on how you speak to them. The way children grieve is every child grieves in their own timing. It depends on the child, to be honest. Every child grieves differently. For infants, they don't really know how to grieve. They just know that the person is unavailable, that died. For a 2 to 4-year-old, they think that their loved one is coming back because in all the cartoons that they watch, this is what they see, is that their loved ones come back. And when in actuality, in real life, when loved ones die, they don't come back. They're just gone forever. And for a 2 to 4-year-old, they sometimes do not understand that. For a 5 to 9-year-old, they think that a boogeyman or an angel came to take their loved one away, because this is what's known as the magical thinking stage of life, where their imaginations are soaring and they think of different things, and you just never know what's going to come out of their mouths. For a 10 to 12-year-old, they have a better understanding of death, but this is the age where they will start to ask a lot of questions, like, will my dad or mom remarry? Will we have to move? Who is going to take care of us? Then you have the older children, or teenagers as we call them, and they have a lot of trouble grieving. They think that it is uncool to talk about it, and they've already gone through like the puberty stage of life. And high schoolers, they're just tough in general when it comes to grieving. They may act out more, they may try weird stunts. A lot of the times they might need therapy or something to help them, or like a support group, because they don't know how to let their grief out sometimes in a good way. And that's because a lot of the times with their peers and their friends, they don't know exactly how to talk about it. And a lot of times their friends, they haven't gone through the same thing and they don't even know how to help them. So, yeah, when it comes to children, some children may want a way to remember the person who died. So they might want to light a candle every night and say a little prayer. Or they might want to write a letter and attach it to a balloon and let it go. So this way their loved one can maybe receive that message. Some children may even want a photo of their loved one next to their bed or somewhere in their room where they can remember them. When it comes to children, it is important to let them grieve in their own way. And like I said before, some children may need a support group, some children may need therapy, and some children, they just know how to grieve on their own, and they might not need anything at all, except for your love and your support throughout the whole grieving process. How to talk to children about the death of their loved ones. This is a really big thing because children take things very seriously. And it is always good to answer your children's questions honestly, simply, and respectfully. Because you see, children, they cannot deal with half-truths because it confuses them, number one. And number two is they don't always know how to respond to certain words. Like their loved one has gone away, is sleeping, or is in a better place. When the child may pick up on that type of thinking and they might think that their loved one is coming back. And you don't want them to think that their loved one is coming back. You want them to be able to go through the whole entire grieving process. Some children, they might not want to talk about it. They might not know how to ask questions because some of the questions that they want to ask might upset the adults, and they don't really want to upset the adults. So in this case, if that happens, sometimes it is our job as caregivers or as adults to go to the children and to see how they are feeling, to find out how they are feeling, and to ask them questions. It's also very important to listen to your child during this time, because if you don't listen to them, you might miss something very important that they're thinking about. Or they might think that you don't care, when in actuality you really do care. So it is so important to understand how your children are feeling during this hard time. This matters. You should learn how to listen to them. And it is also important to give your children a choice on whether they want to go to a funeral service, a memorial service, or a viewing. Do not force them to go, because that will hurt them in the long run. It is important to let them choose whether or not they want to go. And if they do want to go to a viewing, a funeral service, or a memorial service, please prepare them for that time, because if you don't prepare them for that time, they might lash out, they might act up, they might cry. You don't know exactly how the child is going to react. And even if you do prepare them, they still might do all of those things, because children are sometimes unpredictable. In one of the articles that I read, I actually really liked it. Talked about a little girl named Sally. When she was 5 years old, she felt like she was invisible to her parents. Like they didn't care about her or whatever. And I think her mom died. And her dad didn't know how to necessarily help her. Like, she was 5 years old and she felt invisible, and she didn't tell anybody that she felt invisible because she was being taken care of. She was, you know, she wasn't neglected. She was being loved. They answered her questions and everything, but it was just a feeling that she had. So in actuality, in my opinion, it is so important to make sure you know how your children are feeling. So this way, they don't feel invisible. They don't feel like you don't care about them during this time, because they need your support and your love most of all during the grieving process. And I learned a lot throughout the whole entire time of researching this. I actually enjoyed researching this, and I feel like my hypothesis question was a little off, because it's not just grieving for a parent. It could be grieving for a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle or a special friend. And children, they, no matter what happens, they just need time to grieve. And it is so important for us as caregivers and as parents to just support them throughout this whole entire time. And it doesn't matter whether you're 13 years old or 5 years old, everybody needs to know, like every child needs to know that they are cared for and that they are loved most of all, and that they are being listened to, because some parents, we don't listen like we're supposed to, or even caregivers, like we in general don't always listen, and it is so important to listen. So that was my presentation. Bye.